So, how the fear of missing out or FOMO is impacting your sexual growth. Obviously, you can look at this topic for impact in every other area of your life. I'm going to stick to my field. Um, Firstly, it came from a discussion with another woman who's facilitating journaling around sexuality, femininity, and other topics that are of interest to women. And she was commenting on how women don't necessarily go very deep, or she was giving me feedback to the things that I was telling her. People are going nowadays everywhere and they're not committing or they're not going deep with a process. And she said, yeah, that's FOMO. So let me tell you how it impacts your sexuality, because this is my area of expertise. Number one, firstly and foremost, as I said earlier, it's preventing you from going deep. It's preventing you from really understanding, really taking the time to understand, to feel yourself, it doesn't allow you the space to expand, to understand. You're not at peace and at ease to sit with everything, including the I don't know, including the fear, the worry, the regrets, the everything. Why is that? Because FOMO actually it plugs you into super drive, and it doesn't allow you to sit down and really process. What does it look like? It pretty much looks like this. I want to do, I don't know, I want to go on a diet. I want to do a workout. I want to go to events. I want to take, I don't know how many holidays. Oh, I want to read that book, and I want to see that movie, and I want to go networking in that community, and I got to work on my finances, and I got to work on maybe fitness or how I look, or I got to buy a lot of stuff, a lot of clothes, and I got to make it until I don't know what wedding I should be at, because summer in the northern hemisphere usually translates into more weddings. So basically you're in overdrive, your entire brain is on alert with all the stuff that is out there and that you want to get to and be present. And what it also does is that it overwhelms your adrenals. That's what you do. You get a rush of adrenaline. Fear of missing out puts you on super drive. And what does your organism do? It actually pumps you with more energy from where? Your adrenals. You're depleting them, and it actually does not allow you that hyper rush, hyper everything, you being in hyper actually doesn't allow you to really sit with anything, one thing even, and really do it thoroughly. In terms of the nervous system, in most cases, your sympathetic nervous system, that is fight, flight, not freeze, just fight and flight. So you're supercharged, super activated. That's the one that you're working with. In order for you to grow in your sexuality, because breathing, feeding, all relaxation, sleeping, and all of that, they're governed by the parasympathetic system. And the parasympathetic is actually you in a relaxed, fulfilled, at ease mode. Fear of missing out, you can't be in FOMO when you're connecting, relating from a relaxed place. So from your parasympathetic nervous system. Another thing that, or the second impact on your sexuality, is that in actual sex, when you're actually having sex, fear, okay, in those moments, maybe you're not triggering your fear of missing out. But if you haven't really chilled out, I'll just use that very unprofessional word, if you haven't really chilled out with your FOMO, and I'll get in a minute to what that would look like from my perspective, then you're not exactly present. You're sort of rushing through it. This is another thing that you want to tick on your list. And you're not actually enjoying the moments, or you're not present both in your body and with your partner's body. What does that translate into? Shallower, intimate moments. And if your partner's any bit sensitive, they'll catch up. They'll kind of feel you, and they won't like it. Maybe once, okay, we're not always that deep, that into it, that in passion, in the, I don't know, romance of it, in the tantra of it, or the cosmic sexuality, divine sexuality, whatever. Okay, not always. But if you're in a FOMO, adrenal high, sympathetic nervous system mode constantly, because fear of missing out is not a thing that you have one day and then the next day it goes away. No. So chances are that you're making love to your partner or having sex, whatever you want to call it, and you're shallower than your greatest moments. And if this is a long-term relationship, they're going to feel it. If this is you just starting out a relationship, well, the downside is that you might miss out on important cues. And in the initial stages, actually, it's very important that you pay attention, not just to yourself, how you're feeling in relation to this new person, but what they need. Because you can't establish a really deep, powerful bond in, the following stages if you don't really know and you don't really pay attention. So FOMO / adrenal high / sympathetic nervous system / you freaking out. And it doesn't mean that you're going into crisis mode. It means that your attention is constantly divided between 4 or 5 things at a time. And you're yearning for 4 or 5 things at a time. Different areas of your life. By the way, it doesn't have to be just for sexuality. Fear of missing out is a completely different phenomenon, but it impacts your intimacy as well in this way. So what is there for you to do? Step number 1, I would definitely encourage you to seek a psychologist. This is beyond coaching, because there's fear of missing out essentially is based on a deeper rooted insecurity about yourself. Okay, people who are secure and stabilized within themselves, or centered or more settled within themselves, they don't really, they understand that there's a cost of opportunity to everything. I mentioned this, what was it, in the singles video. So I mentioned about the cost of opportunity. Essentially, when you have a plethora of opportunities at your disposal at any time in your life, whether you're conscious or not. When you go down a path, you're definitely sacrificing the potential for another one to form, to take shape, because you're placing your attention, your energy, your resources into one place. So there is a cost of opportunity to everything. And every relaxed, non-FOMO person knows this. Any economist with a really pragmatic perspective knows this, obviously. Any entrepreneur knows this, and so on. So it's always a conscious choice. What are the things that I'm working on, and what are the other things that maybe I will postpone or never get a chance to do? That is also true. So first of all, that realization and that tranquility, let's call it like that, or peacefulness about this entire phenomenon, is there with people that are more centered within themselves. There are, their locus of control is internalized, okay? They don't draw their power from stuff that they achieve or do, or accolades that they receive from others, but they take their self-esteem, motivation, perseverance, just sense of their entire life from within themselves, what they dreamed of doing, where they feel that they should be, and so on. So they're acting from a very inner place. That doesn't mean that they're, what is the word? That doesn't mean that they're completely oblivious to everything else that happens around them. Absolutely not. They're just showing up for others and for other things that they need to take care of, but in a more relaxed, calm, peaceful way. And there's always the realization that they have to prioritize. They can't do everything at the same time. And that comes with locus of control is inside. So my number one thing that I encourage you to do is go to a psychologist and get a few sessions, because this one is rooted in your something is going on with your self-esteem. Not necessarily that it's missing altogether or completely. Something rattled it, something just shook your entire pillar or pillars that your self-esteem is built on. And that's why, or that shaking, something that happened there, earthquake, let's say, that's what allows the fear of missing out to creep in and you act out from FOMO. There are other ways in which obviously your lack of self-esteem or your something happening with your self-esteem can manifest, but FOMO is one indicator that, okay, something's wrong with, something's a bit off with your, how you feel about yourself, how much you love or like yourself, or respect yourself, or have faith in yourself, and so on. So a psychologist is definitely the one, because it usually originates somewhere in the past, something happened. And coaching is not a method that looks at the past, looks at the present, mobilizes all the resources that you now have at hand in order to work on objectives for the future. FOMO is not, you can't work on FOMO with coaching. You need a psychologist for that. It doesn't mean that you need therapy for years and years necessarily, but I'd say go to a therapist first, or psychologist first and foremost. The second thing is, after you've done that and you feel more at ease, even if you miss an opportunity, okay, your entire life is not based just on one opportunity. Not nowadays, not with our current world and reality. So, chill, or sorry, I didn't mean to go that way. You're chilled already that if you, for whatever reason, you may have missed an opportunity, there will be other opportunities, or in even a better case scenario, you will make another opportunity for yourself. And here I want to leave you with the definition of luck that I heard 19 years ago. It was 2002 when I heard this. I was at a workshop. Orange, the corporation, was doing it, and they were targeting, they wanted students to be in their clients, and they did this very cool marketing thing. They organized a workshop, a creative workshop for just 2 days, and they gathered, I think we were about 20 students at the time from all over the country. I was in my second year of college, so I was a junior. And in the evening, we would party with everybody, we'd go for drinks with the marketing and HR teams that were involved, and they were hanging out with us and all the students there. And one, I can't remember who it was, somebody in the HR team, with a glass of beer in front of him, he said, you know what the definition of luck is? I was like, ears like poked. And this guy goes like, okay, luck is when opportunity meets preparation or training, if you want to go that way. So, you never know when opportunity comes, but you can always work and keep working and keep building stuff. And the beautiful thing from now, 19 years later, is that, we don't, all the stuff that we build is collected, through the online, everything that we put online is collected there. And if opportunity comes now, even if it doesn't find you with something new right now, it's going to find you with all the stuff that you've done in the past. So that being said, when you're really relaxed that you miss an opportunity, okay, there will be another. And that kind of mentality, you can work it also with coaching. So from my perspective, after you've worked on your self-esteem stuff, whatever happened there, then you can actually start to prioritize. And you have a fertile soil to prioritize and build slowly, whatever it is that you want to build. including for your sexuality. Okay, because I'm gonna stick to my field, and you can grow. Yeah, you can grow in your sensations, somatic opening, that's what we call it. You can grow in your vocabulary, in your experiences that you want to go through, but you take your time through them. Because if you rush through them, you're going to miss out a lot of stuff. And that's not growth, that's rushing into things. And unless you're watching this video and you're 17, 18, and your hormones are still bursting all over the place, then it's not FOMO, it's also hormones. Okay, but if you're in your 30s, 40s, 50s, the lady that gave me this feedback with women going into FOMO and wanting to do all sorts of things, she was saying that she had some of the women that are participating in her workshops were in their 40s and 50s. And I had told her, I believe this happens with younger people because they are surrounded with all these messages and they feel or think that they should do everything, and they're so frustrated that they haven't done anything. And she said, yeah, well, it's the equivalent of women who have not grown in sexuality at all, and now when they're in their 40s, mid 40s, 50s, and so on, and they're freaking out because they wasted so much time and now they want to do everything. And it wasn't judgment, she was simply relaying a message. And that's, yeah, it can happen at any age. Okay, FOMO. If you ever find yourself in that place, step number one, psychologist, and then step number two, a coach, or just prioritize. You don't need a coach to prioritize. You just look realistically, and it doesn't have to be bring, NASA science or rocket science. You just make a list of all the stuff that you dream of doing, maybe the cost in terms of money, in terms of time, other resources, like how rested you need to be in order to really focus on those. And then you start to prioritize based on all of those criteria, money, time, how rested I should be, what other the resources do I need? Okay, which are the most accessible? Okay, start with those. It's pretty simple. So the benefits when you start to work on your FOMO and really, take it one at a time, is that in intimacy, this is going to translate in you being more confident, more calm, more able to listen or to sense into your partner, whatever's going on, because maybe they don't say everything, but you can actually perceive it, you can see it, you can spot it on them. That actually means that you're clear and you're present. You're not you're in the back of your brain, there's not a gazillion of programs running at the same time. This is what I haven't done, and this is what I need to get going there, and so on. Even if you're not thinking of that, if you're still having a FOMO program running, you can't focus. And in terms of sensations or experiences, no matter what it is, even the simplest experiences, they're gonna feel richer and deeper, more profound, just because you are relaxed. Yeah. And yeah, if you're watching this and I've started to watch my, YouTube statistics. I have a few in the younger categories here, meaning a little bit over 18. So in the 18 to 24 category, if you're in that category and this is already too long or too slow of a video for you, then I totally get that. I used to be like that when I was 18. It was like energy all over the place. You could not make sense with me. I was just too fast. I couldn't even speak coherently one sentence because I would have like 3 other thoughts in my brain at the same time, and I would always blurt out a combination of those. So I totally get, I mean, I won't be surprised, or I will be surprised if an 18-year-old or a 20-year-old stuck until now. I have no idea how many minutes I'm in. But so if that's you, okay, it's not necessarily just FOMO, it's also your hormones and where you are right now, okay? And your nervous system still needs to take some time to mature into focusing, channeling, being present, holding attention for a longer span of time, and so on. And by the way, whenever you do that, you're gonna be a better lover, more attentive, more masterful lover. also. Yeah, it does come, it's one of the perks that comes with age. And in your 30s, you're not old. I know it might seem old for somebody who's in their 20s now, but it's not. What I categorize as old is over 65. Okay, I look at stars like Keanu Reeves and Tom Cruise, who are in their late 50s and they're doing their own stunts. And 35-year-olds are actually shocked because they're showing up for practice and training and they recover pretty fast and they can stand this really like challenging or draconic training regimen and filming and working regimen. Okay, that's impressive. So, you know, after 65, maybe you're kind of getting old. Until then, you're an adult, basically. So, you know, if anybody's worried that at 30 they're old, they must not know what they're talking about. Okay, so yeah, I'm gonna put timestamps under the video just so that you can look again and see the structure of this. If you're going through FOMO, I hope that you take the time to, you know, take a session, a therapy session, 2, 3, whatever, and work that one out. Because FOMO, the actual FOMO is going to make you miss out a lot of things. Not the fact that you can't divide yourself in 100 places, but the FOMO itself. So it's worth, it's kind of a, you know, big thing to wrap your brain around it. Once you nail that one, it's gonna be better for you to, you know, easier for you to prioritize, go deeper, show up more juicy and more attentive in your intimacy. So that's it. I'll see you with the next video, the opposite of this one. Check it out.